Ford Raptor R with a 5.2-liter V8 supercharged that makes 700 horsepower and 640 pound-feet of torque. Let's see how fast this thing gets to 60. .97. Wow. That's the fastest I've ever burned up 20 bucks ever. Well, there was this one time. That slot's a hair slower than the Hummer EV SUV, but faster than the BMW X6 and the Carrera T in manual transmission. So here we have it, the Raptor R. Now we reviewed the Raptor on our channel years ago, and it's one of the best Raptor videos out there on YouTube with over 1.4 million views. So we are glad to have this Raptor R in our studio, except we were just at the Detroit Auto Show where they launched the new facelifted Raptor R with these new funky headlights. So technically we have the current or old generation, but we finally have it here, so we're not complaining. Now this is not your crazy TRX killer, or is it? Because when I looked at it, I'm like, Raptor, this is the Raptor. But the only signification or signs of it being a Raptor R is the red R on the side, and in the front it says R right there. Because the regular Raptor has the V6 EcoBoost and it makes 450 horsepower or so, but this thing makes 700 horsepower. So it's a big jump. Because for a period there, when they launched the Raptor, we were expecting this kind of power in that, but they waited till 2023 to give us the R to actually compete against the TRX. So for those wondering what color this Raptor R is, it's called Area 51. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel before, please go ahead and do so. We need another plaque on this side. We're moving a little bit slower than we'd like, so every piece of love we get, including hitting that button, we'd really appreciate it. Take a look at this massive bulging hood in this Raptor R in red. Then you have the supercharged decal right there, supercharged V8 and 1,000,008 to signify this is an 8, not the EcoBoost you get in the regular Raptor. On the front here, of course, you have the black Ford logo right on the top, or emblem. Then you have a little washer fluid underneath where your front camera is. Now these headlights are changed for 2024, so this is the 2023 edition. You have this rounded front molded bumper, and then of course it's heavy duty, obviously with the red tow hooks underneath it. Now the big indicator here that it's a Raptor, not just a regular F-150, are these lights, because it is a wider truck than a regular standard pickup. So let's point out something interesting right off the bat. All these 8s are a really important number for Chinese. Chinese believe that the number 8 signifies fortune, and this is what the Raptor is. Fortune, because you need a fortune to fill this thing up, and you need a fortune to buy a Raptor R. Now also something interesting is the R is red right here for R Raptor, but when you go to the front and you look at this bulge in the hood, Raptor has the R at the end. I found that interesting. Raptor, Raptor, Raptor. Now this Raptor R has the V8, and because of that, it's 100 pounds heavier than the regular EcoBoost V6, so they've strengthened up the suspension in the front. Now take a look at these wheels. These are the largest wheels they've ever put on a Ford truck in history. They come standard with 37s, unlike the regular Raptor where you can get 35s or 37s. So some people will say that on the side, this looks like a regular Raptor EcoBoost and not the V8. But again, you have the R at the back there, so that signifies that this is a Raptor R. Now its competitor is the TRX. This Ford Raptor R weighs 400 pounds less than that. The TRX has a ground clearance of 11.8 inches, which is 1.3 inches shorter than this Raptor R. So in those two cases, it's lighter and it has higher ground clearance. But design, let me know on the comments if you think this design is better from the side. Now, of course, on the front, it's subjective, but on the side is really where trucks have to show their light. Now, this does have fixed side steps to get in the vehicle, but this is a Raptor, so the meat and potatoes is right here. These Baja-inspired live shock absorbers. Now, according to Ford, these live valves can adjust themselves 500 times per second, which essentially means it's like a smooth ride or whatever. But the deal is this, for us city boys, is that this can jump as high as my shoulder and up to 40 miles an hour. Yep, this monster tank can jump this high at 40 miles an hour over my broken head and land gently. That's cool. Take a look at how tall this Raptor is compared to me. I'm 5'9". This Raptor at the top level here is probably around 5 foot tall. Very, very tall. And they have this little cute spoiler. You don't really notice it, but if you look at details, then you will. Then you have the camera right there, a little light, and then you have a power tailgate. Then you have this black plastic panel with Ford F-150, and then of course the Raptor with the R red around it in the wrong spot, because if you look at the side, it's R in the front, now it's R on the back. Then moving down, this thing does tow 8,700 pounds, which is really weak considering on max tow on the F-150, it's almost 14,000 pounds. So if you're looking at towing something heavy, the Raptor is not for you. You have twin 4-inch tailpipes on the back, super cool, I love that. And then you have these hooks on the back that are not red like the front, which also is kind of strange. Let's open up this power tailgate and see how we get inside. It still uses the traditional or current way to do it, which is push this button, it opens up, it comes down, and you step into it when you have this little handle here. This is not new, this is pretty straightforward. I press my hand here, put my leg there, get in. Now as far as payload, which means how much weight can it hold in here, the payload is 1,400 pounds, which is pretty weak for an F-150. Now I'm in the bed and you have 3 lights, 1, 2, and 3, so you have bed lighting. You have D-clamps, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 on each corner. Then you have Ford's Power Pro, where you have 2 kilowatts of power that you can plug in. That is the maximum. It is an option. Because this is a traditional F-150, you still get the ruler on the back of your tailgate. And that is a bottle opener, 1 on each side in case you're thirsty after work. Back seat of the Ford Raptor R. Now take a look at these seats. These are suede and they have perforations in them. They're not ventilated like the front, but think about who buys this truck. Now this truck has a little bit of mileage. When we got it, it was immaculate. Inside, not a speck of dust, which means it was cleaned very, very well. However, there's still a smell of BO or hockey change room coming from this truck. And it's because the people that drive these trucks really are engaging, which means they sweat in the seats. So if you're looking at buying yourself one of these used ones and you want a smelly one, well, they're going to be easy to find. And speaking of BO, this has the 18-speaker B&O sound system. Of course, you have a large panoramic sunroof, a black headliner, and then down here you have 2 cup holders, a spot for 2 cell phones back to back, some vents, 2 increments of heated seats, a cigarette lighter plug, a 400-watt 3-prong plug, and then a USB and a USB-C. But let's not forget about a flat floor, even though this is not electric. All right, Raptor R, let me jump into this seat. This seat is a Recaro seat. It is heated and ventilated, hence the smell. You have the Raptor right there with the R at the end in red. Same with this seat and same with the center console Raptor R. The steering wheel has the red center or 12 o'clock position. You do have red stitching around it and an R button on the left-hand side, which is essentially like an individual button. When I hit it, it shows me all my different drive modes, sport, off-road, and of course Baja. You do have this little American flag on the side. That's very typical Ford, and everything else is pretty much the same as a regular F-150. There is carbon fiber, but hey, that's not really crazy exciting. You do have this where this thing folds down, bye-bye, and then I can put this down and eat my pizza. Yep, I do have a nice big tray, but again, F-150. This is all F-150. Check out this though. This is Apple CarPlay, and look how wide it gets. It fills up the whole screen. That's really, really nice. But yeah, it's F-150. What else do you want me to say? Something I want to point out that I think is really interesting. Take a look at this key. You see, it says Raptor right on it, but do you see any red highlighting? Negative. Take a look at the steering wheel. It says Raptor. No red highlighting. That is kind of annoying because everything else is highlighted. So this and this should also be highlighted. Did someone forget? Let me know in the comments below. Almost a 7,000 RPM redline on this thing. It is monstrous. Now it has a lower top speed because of these tires, because obviously if you do hammer it, it's not the most stable thing because it's not designed for that, especially with these 37s on the truck. So I've always dogged the F-150 for being too light, which is kind of a weird thing to dog because you're like, hey, lightweight, thumbs up, aluminum, thumbs up. That works, but in a pickup truck, you want to feel substantial. And I find the F-150s don't really feel substantial. Of course, the people that care about fuel mileage, it does a great job. It is usually the cheapest to run out of its competitors. But in this, it's the perfect mix. You have a body that is lightweight. You've got these big, heavy wheels. You've got a big, heavy motor. You've got the weight in the vehicle. So when it comes to handling and turning, it's not obviously a race car or a track car, but just driving around day to day, it feels great. Great substantial weight behind it. I feel like the weight is in all the right spots when it comes to me turning the steering wheel. Whereas the F-150 just feels light, and I feel like the Silverado feels just way more solid. Not only the Silverado, pretty much every other competitor just feels more solid on the ground than the Ford does because the Ford is the lightest. This is 400 pounds lighter than the TRX. That's 400 pounds. That's like 5 of me. Wow. So I talked about selectively being able to adjust the exhaust, the steering, the powertrain. You can individually adjust all those things. And also, this is not permanent four-wheel drive. You can have four-wheel drive automatic, four-wheel drive low, four-wheel drive high, and two-wheel drive. And you do have a locking rear diff, but you just can't use it in two-wheel drive. It's always used in four-wheel drive, but it's all adjustable. So the main part of this part of the video is really to see if you can daily drive it. And of course, I'm out in the country here, so I can easily daily drive it, pretty straightforward. But if you're in the city, this has a pretty wide track, especially with these tires, but the whole vehicle is wider. So it's kind of not the easiest thing to buy and just drive. This thing in the quarter mile actually runs out of top speed. Yep, the top speed gets to its point before you hit the quarter. That's pretty crazy. And if you're wondering what that top speed is, it's 112 miles an hour. That sounds fast, but it's like 175 or 180 kilometers an hour, which is like pretty slow. It's probably one of the slowest top speeds out there that you can buy today. If I had to guess, Ford sells more Raptor Rs out of the box, but over time, next year, I feel like they're gonna sell more regular Raptors, not these Raptor Rs. It's just too much power, you can't really use it. It sounds good on paper, but then stopping for gas will probably get you pretty depressed. Which is why they make the ZR2 Bison as well. So that's really more head-to-head with the regular Raptor. And I see kind of that area topping out in trucks like this. I find 700 horsepower is just too much power, which is obviously the same as the TRX. And I think there are lots of TRXs for sale, or at least used ones. So hope you guys like this review on this Ford Raptor R. It's a sick truck, love it. Glad I had the opportunity to drive it. I feel really grateful that I, could spend that $200 to fill it up. But otherwise, it's a pretty sick truck. For 150 grand, I don't think people are gonna worry about gas, at least the ones that are buying it. See you on the next one.